here. Team awareness. So we've talked recently about how to change your mind. And so I thought it might also be good today to talk about how to change your energy, because sometimes our minds get entangled, and it's even though the mind leads, at times when the mind gets entangled, then it's hard to move your energy around. There's a Chinese phrase called, and it goes, Yi Dao, Qi Dao, which means where the mind goes, the energy follows. Because everything is energy, including us, it's important to ensure that the energy that we are and the energy that we generate is really what we want and not what we don't want. We and our lives become what our thought energy dwells on. And that's just like so important, because so often the mind just runs off down the road with you, and before you know it, you've gotten yourself into a stew over something, and guess what? Now you're fully engaged, spewing out that heavy or dark energy. It's easy to allow our minds to wander, and actually it's kind of almost the mind's natural true state is peaceful abiding. But unfortunately, as humans, we get caught up very easily in the negative, and it's a kind of a sign of mental laziness that it's easier to dwell on those negative thoughts than it is to switch gears and get onto that positive track. I find I really have to work at it, because the negative is just so smooth, and it just takes over your whole self. And to pull back, I find, for me anyway, it's kind of a challenge to stop and go, wait a minute, no, I don't want to go that way. I'm going to change my thoughts. And then, of course, if you can't change your thoughts, you can't get out of that track, before you know it, you end up creating or attracting something that could be pretty awful that you never wanted or intended. Remember, Edgar Cayce talked about using ourselves, our energies, persistence and consistent. It works both ways. Persistent, consistent, patient when you're aiming in a positive direction to manifest something good. And at the same time, if you're persistently, consistently dwelling in the negative, that's going to have that effect in a negative way. Also, something to keep in mind, if you are in resistance, that will prevent you from moving forward. And this, again, is something, resistance is kind of like a little hidden enemy, because it's too easy, as a matter of fact, to say, I'm thinking positive thoughts, or to do the lip service, to say the things. But in reality, in your heart, you may be harboring something that's heavy, painful, dark, you're angry, whatever it is. And that's really what's being seen. The universe is going to respond to that vibration, that energy, more so than your words, or even forcing yourself to think in positive ways. So we have to be very careful about that, and to acknowledge that when we're in resistance. And I find, for me, even that's hard to do. The ego will make you do all kinds of things. And, finally, I have to stop and say, okay, I'm in resistance. I'm in resistance to something. I'm in resistance to letting go of resistance. And that's all part of that. The good news is everything changes. And everything, literally everything, can be changed. It can take longer for some things, depending on how long they've been going in their current direction. Sometimes it can take a couple of lifetimes, but things do change. Remember, the divine energy, that life force energy, that source energy, flows through everything, everywhere, all the time. It is never stagnant. It's always in motion. It's always changing. Okay? Some good reasons to change your energy. Sometimes the mind does get overwhelmed, and you can't, as I stated earlier, it's hard to kind of rein that in. And you have to kind of switch and do something completely different that will fully engage your energies, your physical and your body, your energy field, rather than trying to work on changing your mind. Another reason is there are some people in this world who are needy, Some of them will draw energy. If you know anyone that you've spent time with, and even talking to them on the phone, and afterwards you just feel so drained, you feel so exhausted, like, oh, what happened, what's wrong? And a lot of times it's because the person that you've been around is an energy sucker. They're drawing energy from anyone and everything they can around them because they haven't learned to stay with themselves. And that's very, very exhausting. And so when that happens, that's an excellent time to stop and change your energy. So what I have are some, what I call presto changeo energy tricks. And these are things that I've learned myself. I've practiced them all myself. And there are also some things that have been taught by the energy masters that I follow. They're excellent. They really are excellent, and they really do work quickly. So something we've been over before is to check in with yourself, notice how you're feeling, what you're thinking, how your body feels, and then we do the clearing of our body's cells. Okay, that's one thing that's quick and easy. Always, too, before you start any kind of process, always remember to breathe, because again, as we ascend, we need to ensure that our physical bodies are able to hold those higher frequencies that we're becoming. So it's very important to take a breath, and on your out breath, whether mouth open or mouth closed, you want to exhale the sound, because that kind of connects you. Okay? So this is the first one, and this is actually a little fun process that I think that you guys would enjoy doing right now. You want to give it a try?
Yeah, sure.
You're so eager. That's cool. Okay. So let's start with that breath. I'm going to ask you to close your eyes. I'm going to walk you through it, okay? You can leave your eyes open if you're more comfortable. If you do so, if you're doing it with your eyes open, focus upward, okay? So where you're not being distracted, like the ceiling or the upper part here, okay? So take that breath in, and then exhale with sound, mouth open and closed. Okay, great. So now bring to mind the memory of something wonderful, or something fun, something happy, or a thrill of a lifetime event, no matter how small or big. Make it be something that you personally were involved in, that you physically did yourself. Focus on the details. Where were you? What was the weather that day? How did it feel? Were there scents? Were there sounds? Were there other people? The event itself. And feel yourself. Be there now. Feel that feeling, that excitement, that joy, the happiness, or the wonder. Whatever it was that made that event special for you. And on your next breath, exhale the sound. Bring your body with you. And open your eyes when you're ready. How are you guys feeling now? You like the feeling? How are you feeling right now? Like you were there. You were there. See how fast your energy changed. I could feel it. Some of you are feeling mellow, some of you are happy. You know, you're still floating on that cloud. That's fantastic. See how quickly we can do this. Okay? It's a super, super good tool. It'll lift you right up. Okay, the next energy changer. This comes from the Eastern philosophy, and it's called Embrace Tiger, Return to Mountain. It's actually based on a Tai Chi movement, and the actual Tai Chi posture is that it refers to a defensive movement where a practitioner neutralizes a strong, aggressive tiger, a fierce opponent, and safely returns them back to their home turf, the mountain, without causing harm. Now, for those of you who are not familiar with Eastern teachings and beliefs, a lot of times you'll see, particularly in Chinese wall art, there will be mountains, always usually mountains, and then a river or water flowing. That mountain represents that high spiritual place. The flowing water is the calm emotional. Okay? So there's a symbolism in those paintings. That's what that's for. So that mountain is your place of spiritual peace, your calm. So philosophically, it serves as a metaphor for grounding oneself, finding calm in the face of chaos, and returning to your own spiritual center. So one of the best ways to embrace Tiger energetically is to acknowledge your thoughts, feelings, and emotions, no matter how dark, how unpleasant, how painful they may be. Because once you, first of all, allow those, okay, allow yourself to feel it, and admit that they exist, is a powerful and thorough means of release. That's very hard to do because we are taught we have to be good. From day one, you have to be good. Being good means you don't lose your temper, you don't say bad words, you don't get mad at people, you don't blah, 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 blah. Throw that out the window. That's a BS, totally and completely. My father was in the Navy. As a child, I learned every frickin' cuss word they had, and I still know them. And I use them liberally, particularly when I'm driving. Ask Annette. But it's hard, because you know what, we are so hard on ourselves. We try so hard. I'm being good. If I'm good, then I can't say those bad words. I can't hold that grudge. I hell with that. Daggone, if you want to hold a grudge, frickin' hold it. Because you know what, that person was a dirty rat. They betrayed you. No ifs, ands, or buts. We're not saying that you're perfect, but we are saying that to come into alignment with your higher self, you have to embrace all parts of you. And that includes acknowledging when you're annoyed. All those martial arts movies, those high spiritual guys, those monks and things, doing all those fantastic movements, they're not, they don't just step aside and let the bad guy do whatever. They jump in and do stuff. They know they're hurting them. Of course they do. That's what that's designed for, to stop them. So we have to really get real with ourselves and go, okay. Because you can still be a master and be angry. Just like the martial arts guys. You can still be a master and think dark thoughts. And have those feelings, have those emotions, have that, feel that. That is actually the part of mastery that's overlooked, is embracing all of that. I feel betrayed. Those people betrayed me. They did wrong. That person was rotten to me when I was nice to them. I'm mad about that. You acknowledge that, okay? And then you must sit with it, though. Even if it's for a few minutes, because this is the most magical thing. Once you sit and stop and let yourself feel that feeling, because we're afraid it's going to wash over us and we're going to be that way for the rest of our lives. You're not. It's going to come and go. This is the moment you stop and feel that. For instance, anger, to me, fascinates me when I'm angry. When I stop and really feel the anger, right? I stop the swearing, not the temper tantrum, and I just feel it. It's a heat. I experience it as a heat in my body. But you know what? It burns itself off. Just a few seconds, it burns off, and then it's gone. And then I can feel my energy rise again. So it's a temporary sensation, what that does. But every time you do that, every time that event comes to mind, the body and heart start to engage, you stop and you sit and you go, okay, I'm feeling this, I'm going to feel it. You feel it, in a matter of seconds, it's gone, and you're feeling fine again, okay? So the more you do that over whatever it is, it burns deeper and deeper and deeper until it's finally gone, okay? That is a sincere, compassionate listening to yourself. And not many people do that, and it's hard to do. Many, many years ago, I was attending a Unity church when I lived in Pennsylvania. And we had a very open-minded lay minister, lady lay minister. And we were there one day after church. I don't remember what we were doing, but it was a small group of us. And there was this woman who had something to share, and she said something about not feeling like she was being listened to. And so the minister said, okay, we're going to listen to you. And there was only a group of us, like 4 or 5 people. We all stopped, and we looked at her, and we were totally silent. And we held a space for her to talk. And you know, she couldn't say a word because she wasn't used to it. She wasn't used to anyone compassionately listening to her. So this is something we always have to start. In Buddhism, you always start with yourself, and then you go outward. So that's a practice, to be compassionate for yourself. So your energies dissipate, and you naturally just return to your mountain, okay? They rise naturally, and it returns you to coherence or alignment with your highest frequency self. Now, some things to keep in mind. Embracing that tiger does not mean that you encourage, enable, or get stuck in it. Because there is a tendency, you start to feel that anger and go, oh, I just feel so mad, that person did this and that, and then you've drifted off course. And that's okay, you just bring yourself back in. But we just want to make sure that we don't let that happen all the time, too often. Remember, this is a good reminder, I heard someone say this and it's hilarious and I like to remember it often. We walk through the valley of darkness. We do not pitch a tent and camp there. Okay? We don't judge, belittle, berate, criticize, or chastise ourselves. Give ourselves the exact same unconditional love that Pure Source gives to us, because light and love is who we are always. Again, always acknowledge, even if you just feel like you want to smack them, or be very mean and angry with them, let that arise. Don't interfere with it. Let it come forward. Okay? Detaching and observing is a difficult practice. But once you do it, the more you do it, the better you get at it. But that is a component, to detach and observe. Oh, I'm feeling this. Narrating out loud to yourself is a great way to do that. Oh, I notice I'm feeling this anger again, and I feel blah, 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 blah. Okay? Oh, and now that I've noticed myself, now I feel like I'm calming down, and I notice my breath is slowing again. I'm telling you, it works. You might look like a nut in the car driving along talking to yourself, but it really works. Yes, and then you will return to harmony in a natural state. So does all that make sense to you guys? Yeah? Okay, good. And you can look this up. This is, some of this is internet information. You can look it up. So another really good energy practice, and this, I know that it's a Buddhist practice, and probably some others, other belief systems may embrace it too, is appreciations of sustenance. I have started doing this, and I've noticed how it totally changes my energy when I sit down to eat. It's when you pause and allow yourself to be in the moment with your food and drink. Okay? Consider the source of the food and the drink. Vegetables and fruits. They contain sun and rain. They have the earth soil. Okay. Think about the farmers who grew those crops, what they did. The harvesters, the people who came out and picked all that stuff. Everyone involved in packing, transporting. If it's a canned or a frozen item, who contributed to those processes? Who came up with that idea of mass canning and mass frozen products? Those people, they're transporters. The sellers, who's selling that stuff? Okay? For those of you who eat meat, an animal, think about those animals who contributed. Native Americans thank the animals who give their lives so that they can be nourished. Think about the cooks and the servers of all of those foods and the generosity of planet Earth to provide so much. All of that. So I could have something to eat. That is, the whole world is involved in my food. And I'm going to tell you something, I don't like people touching my food. But I think that's a pretty awesome thing. Total strangers. They did that for me. That's pretty awesome. See how your energy changes when you think about these things. So the last item I'm going to offer to you today is something that's called the I'm So Excited exercise. And as I was writing this out, I realized it's actually very similar to the original Silva method. Is anyone familiar with the solar method? Some of you? So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about that because that's really amazing and fascinating. And like I said, I've done these. I use the solar method to get a little cat adopted, and I was astonished that it worked down to exactly the person saying exactly what I envisioned them saying when they adopted that cat. So Mr. Silva, Jose Silva, he was a self-taught radio repairman. And around 1944, he began working with radio and electronics. He was studying frequency and waves. And his goal was to improve his children's intelligence and their academic grades. And his theory was that to reduce mental resistance through deep relaxation would make the brain work faster and better. He found that alpha and theta waves assist in memory, focus, and learning. And combined mental relaxation, visualization, and intuition, that training became the Silva method. It evolved over the years and later on became the Silva life process or something like this. I know that one of his daughters actually taught herself that for many years. And now I don't know what it's evolved into now, but I'm going to tell you it works. It absolutely works. So that process is a little bit similar to I'm So Excited. I'm So Excited is more of a physical exercise, but it involves the same thing, basically of narrating what you want, down to the every detail. For I'm So Excited, usually you stand up and you focus on what you really desire, something you really want to create. Let's say you want to have one of those big, fancy, like espresso type machines. You want one that does all the different drinks, but it's really expensive, so you want to get it like 50% off or free. But that feels overwhelming. So instead, you would start maybe with, how about a free cup of a triple mocha latte with whipped cream? Okay, you want that for free. So you would stand up in this exercise, and you would say out loud, I'm so excited. I just got a free triple mocha latte with extra whipped cream for free. I'm so excited. And then you will go on and narrate how it tastes, how it smells, how it looks. It's so good. I'm so blessed. I'm so lucky. I got this for free. It was so good. I didn't even know it was coming. On and on and on and on. The more you do that, the more you raise your energy. Okay? You're sending out that positive energy. I'm so thankful. Thank you so much. I'm so glad to have this. Okay? And always when you're doing this, whether you speak it or write it or think it, it's always in as if it's happening right now. It's always present tense. Okay? And then when you finish your exercise, notice how you feel. I guarantee you, you will be totally energized. Okay? Remember, motivation follows action. A lot of people think it's not. You have to be motivated and then you take your action, but that is not true. Motivation actually follows any action you take. So that's what's great about I'm So Excited, because it involves your physical body. Remember, we're taking our bodies along with us. Now I'm going to give you a real quick Silva method here. It's called the silver screen. What you do is you imagine yourself looking at like a big movie screen. Okay? On that screen, in living color, is the scene of depicting what you want. Okay? So let's go on with our triple mocha latte with extra whipped cream. Okay? You see yourself, and you're there, and if someone is handing it to you, and it looks so, well, you can see it, it looks so delicious. Narrate it out loud or to yourself. Especially, some people have trouble visualizing, so if you do have that issue, definitely narrate it. Okay? Every detail. How it looks. What does that person look like if you want to put them in there? What does it look like? Where are you? What are the sights? What are the sounds? What's the weather? What are you wearing? Okay? Every single detail counts. The more real and vivid you can make it, it's like you're writing out instructions to the universe. So the more information you give, the better your order will be fulfilled. So I wish you all a happy triple mocha latte with extra whipped cream. Thank you for listening.